things, right? Good stuff, good stuff. It's going to be a good show. And you see me and I see you. There we go. The show has officially started. Now that we got all that pregame stuff out of the way. Again, it's going to be a good show. We got a lot to talk about. I'm just going to go ahead and jump right in. You know, we've done the formalities. We've done all the intros. You guys are amazing. Thanks for supporting. Go ahead and hit the like button. Share this to all your socials. That helps me tremendously if you could do that. So big shout out to you if you've already liked the video and shared it. Thank you so much. Jarcon breaks things up with the first super chat. Appreciate you very much. iPhone 12 series coming really soon. Very, very soon. We're expecting it just around the corner, right? And that'll be a big release. It'll be a very big release. So very excited about that. A lot of iPhone people are. Those that prefer iOS over Android. Even those that use Android and iOS like myself. We're very excited about the iPhone release. So where do I start? I mean, there's there's a lot to cover. I think what I'll do is I'll actually start with the Cbrs news. All right, so I will be recording the audio-only version of this podcast for the Anchor crowd. We're on Spotify. We're also on, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. We're on most of the major ones. So check us out. SMT Wireless Weekly Report. So yeah, let's get this thing going. Story number one in today's edition of the podcast is Cbrs. Cbrs is going to be a big-time addition to wireless networks. Home wireless providers are going to be utilizing this. There's general access there's general access spectrum available for any company to use. So whether it's wireless or fixed home or whatever, the purpose. Then there's, so that's GAA. And then there's the, the PALs. And those are the licensed versions of the spectrum assets. And so far, I mean, pretty much all the rules remain, when it comes to that type of spectrum midband. It's kind of a best of both worlds, sort of. You get much higher capacity because it is, they are larger channels, higher frequency has the ability to do that. So, low band has limitations and capacity. So in utilizing Cbrs, the speeds may actually be surprising us, and so will the range. It looks like there is testing showing 6-mile range for Cbrs spectrum in the 3.5 gigahertz range. I think we're going to be very happy with this as customers. It's going to help wireless customers. It's going to help home internet customers. This mid-band frequency, although it will be broadcasted over low power, it's not going to be something that's going to be high power like what we typically see from macro sites, especially low-band stuff that has to reach several miles. It looks like, that's going to be something that can actually be dealt with. The limitations in the power, we're still going to get some distance there. So the thing about midband and even especially millimeter wave is as the distance increases, the signal quality degrades, and in that process we also lose capacity, we lose speed. So we're starting to see amazing results from several Midwest states that are testing Cbrs. I mean, this is, I think, overachieving for this early in the game on Cbrs. So the states are showing 6-mile range, and they're showing 100 megabits per second on that range. Now, don't get me wrong, there's probably a lot of things that have to be just right. Like the tower sites are going to have to be really, really high, and the receivers for the homes that are going to be utilizing it, those are probably going to have to be placed pretty high as well on the house. So maybe like on the rooftop or something like that. Sort of like how they have, equipment positioned with, satellite dishes, how they're positioned on the top and the corners and stuff like that. Big shout out to Gene. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. Always generous, always kind. Appreciate the support here to the channel. No comments, no questions. You just wanted to donate. So thank you for that, Gene. Friend of the show and big time supporter. We appreciate you. I think the fact that they were able to show 2 to 4 miles with clear line of sight on a standard macro site without going super, super high is really encouraging. And then it seems like as they placed it higher and allowed the signal, to really start from a high point, getting up to 6 miles is impressive. And, if you think about the rural setting, you're not really getting much for obstruction. You can really get a good line of sight. So I think that's kind of the combination of what's going on there. Anyways, in terms of capacity, they're talking about being able to serve 100 plus customers on a single base station. And we're talking even just a situation with like, I believe 5 or 10 megahertz channels. So it's not even a situation where they're just loading up on huge amounts of bandwidth. So very impressive. It looks like, with the general access as well as the licensed, versions of the Cbrs, both can be combined and used in congruence to widen these channels, aggregate and combine those channels to increase the bandwidth for speed and capacity. I think if you're going to use it for home internet, you're going to want to really, offer a fast product to compete with, cable and fiber optic and stuff like that. And, what we have coming with Starlink, with satellite, there's going to be a lot of potential there. So very, very excited about this technology. Very excited about CBRS. I'm big on CBRS for wireless. So, why wouldn't I be excited about it for home as well? Customer antennas, obviously, it's going to be get it as high as you can get it, so that way the signal is as direct as possible. And I think this is going to work for a lot of people. I think this is going to be great. For people that live out in rural America, this is a great indication of things possibly changing in the future. I don't know who's going to be deploying this from home providers, Charter, Spectrum, who knows. But to know that the technology's out there gives people some hope in getting some decent and fast and actually hashtag real broadband. That's another thing we got to start hashtagging. Hashtag real broadband, because 5 megabits per second on DSL and 10 megabits and even 50 megabits, that's just too low. And uplink, hashtag real uplink, for people that have to do Zoom meetings and people that are doing, uploading video content and being a creator and these types of things. It's just going to require more capacity, and what we have now is not good enough. A lot of people talk about things like 4G and LTE is good enough. You're so wrong. That is just unbelievably naive. You have no idea what others require for their jobs, for their education. It's just not going to cut it. If 4G LTE was enough, then why would everybody be trying so hard to get to the next generation of wireless? We simply cannot evolve fast enough in our wireless tech without 5G. Veraxium says 20 by 20, as a minimum. I mean, bare minimum 20 on the uplink. 10's too low. You get a couple of devices connected to uplink and that 10 is done. It's diminished. So, I'd like to see symmetrical connectivity, 100 by 100, as kind of a standard in broadband. And whether it's CBRS or it's C-band or it's fiber optic, whatever the case may be, count me in. Count me in. Get people faster internet. Get people better tools to be more productive, to be better capable to do their job, to excel, to be elite. Let's celebrate people's greatness and the ability to perform well by giving them the right tools to do so. And I don't care about somebody who just watches YouTube videos on 480p. This is not a conversation that is going to change your life, and that's fine. Maybe you have a job mining or something, or maybe you have a job, you sweep the halls of a building and you don't need 5G. It's not your place to dictate where we should go with our technology. People that have high demand, high bandwidth needs, they need this. So I'm very excited about that, and it's super exciting. It doesn't matter, like I said, which provides it. I'm very excited to celebrate that. So good times for that. I don't know if there was anything else based on that story from CBRS, but I think I actually will circle around to it at the end of the show. So looking forward to kind of sharing that with you all, the story out of McAllen, Texas. That'll be coming up shortly. All right. Taking a look at my notes, just make sure I get to everything. All right, so I know we got a Dish story. I guess we'll switch over to Verizon, and then we'll talk a little bit about what AT&T has going on. And AT&T is pretty busy, actually. right. Oh, yeah, Alexis, good point. 500 billion devices by 2030. Oh, my God. You want to talk about scale? My goodness. Oh, so, yeah, I mean, IoT, computers, laptops, tablets, smartphones, virtual reality, augmented reality. I mean, just think about the all the connected devices. That's why I'm saying, for anybody who says things like 5G, you know, we don't need it. I don't know what world they live in. You know, do they live in a place that just got electric power? You know, do they just discover the light bulb where they live? I don't know. If they can't see outside of themselves, you know, what the world needs, I don't know. Kind of weird and strange that they can't see it. That's okay. Whatever. All right, so we got story number 2. This one out of Verizon and Samsung. A new partnership has formed. Not really a new partnership. They've had a partnership. They got a big business relationship, actually. So the partnership between Verizon and Samsung has grown. We know that they're going to have a deal where Samsung is going to be providing macro site hardware for tower sites, and it'll be a big part of their future in 5G and millimeter wave technologies. The homie Tana Solid is in the house. Appreciate you, Tana. Thanks for stopping by. Kimon, hashtag Mod Squad. You guys are the best. Thank you for being here. So that pre-existing relationship, I think, also probably connected to this one as well. I think they have something good going on. The situation here is Samsung is going to be offering Verizon a solution that is going to revolutionize connectivity. I've said time and time again, the future of 5G rests in capacity. Whether it's the latency improvement, it's the speeds itself, it's going to be a game changer, and the only way we really get to that point is with millimeter wave. The mid-band is going to be an important piece because of its propagation, properties. But still, millimeter wave will be the answer to the future, because once the infrastructure is there and you don't need more tower sites, and you start to think about how do we get the best coverage and performance indoors as well as outdoors, millimeter wave becomes the final frontier. New hardware solution for indoor 5G, Verizon's version of 5G, which is ultra wideband. All right, millimeter wave technology. Samsung's going to provide these base stations for indoor application. Big shout out to Cesar. Thank you for the super chat. Verizon millimeter wave 5G all over Inglewood, California. It's all over here in the CLE too. Right? And I think it's just a matter of time until we see huge deployment throughout the United States. Once that CapEx starts peaking over 20 billion, 25 billion, I personally believe by 2030, Verizon will be spending 40 billion annually on their network. I would not be surprised. What for Samsung is referring to as LinkCell is going to be a hardware solution for indoor application. We all know about millimeter wave's limitations. Range is a challenge, and indoor penetration is a challenge. So Verizon said, to hell with it. We're not going to fight the walls. We're not going to fight the building materials. We're going to put coverage in the buildings. We're going to put antennas in the buildings where there are going to be a lot of people, where there's going to be a lot of traffic, where the demands for certain applications are going to be there. We're going to be seeing these link cells, 28 gigahertz frequency spectrum. To me, this is essentially phase 2 of Verizon's 5G ultra wideband plan. And phase 1 kind of being like the outdoor application. Hey, we're going to put these things all over cities. We're going to put them on street poles, wherever the cities let us, basically. Light poles. We'll even put them on macros, because I've seen them on tower sites, which is crazy. But yeah, I've seen them. This is going to bring incredible capacity unparalleled, something that midband cannot do. So what midband cannot do, millimeter wave will do. And what millimeter wave can't do, midband will do. So we have kind of like, we joke about the layer cake or whatever from Neville, but I mean, it's a playful, analogy or whatever. But But yeah, I mean, this is going to meet the capacity needs of all scenarios, right? Immense channel bandwidth. Mid-band can't do it, so this is where millimeter wave comes into play. I see a huge potential for this on so many levels where most people live. You know, I don't want to poo-poo on rural America. I really hope that rural America does get better served with the next generation of wireless technology. And, you know, our FCC can kind of ensure that that happens. It's really on them. You know, the wireless providers may not be so inclined to do it on their own. You know, a lot of the network build-out focuses on where most of the people are. It's just the way it is. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So, you know, this is going to help millions of people. You know, the fact that this indoor millimeter wave is going to be available, it's going to change the wireless experience for a lot of people. Tens of millions, hundreds of millions of people. And those devices are going to be flawless because the connection is going to be so strong. It's going to be close. Propagation won't be an issue. You're going to be indoors. It's basically going to be like Wi-Fi on steroids. And it's phenomenal. And they're going to use 28 gigahertz, so they don't need the 39 gigahertz and stuff like that. I don't know. They might use other frequencies, but yeah, I mean, the potential is going to be great. Big shout out to ARG Tech. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat. I think AT&T with this new plan, it's awesome. We'll talk about that in a second. But to kind of wrap things up on this Verizon piece, you know, with this Samsung deal, Verizon just seems to find a way. You know, they find solutions to their problems, and they do it really quickly. Like, they know how to pivot, you know, and they know how to move. So they knew about the fatal flaw of millimeter wave, which was propagation and effective work. You know, how does it work indoors? And they figured it out. We're not going to fight the walls. We're going to just put it inside the walls and outside the walls. And yeah, it's going to take spending, but they're a company that's not afraid to spend when they know that it's going to pay off, and they will have the best 5G network indoors and outdoors. And that's how you do it, right? It makes total sense. And, you know, every company is going to eventually go this route. I mean, it's inevitable. It's just Verizon seems to be ahead of the curve. You know, they're way ahead of this. They're dealing with the problems that are going to plague carriers down the line. So millimeter wave is inevitable. It's going to have to happen. They're attacking it now. Millimeter wave has propagation issues. It's inevitable. They're attacking it now. They're a proactive company, which is why I've always respected what they do on the network side. In the past, I have not respected the way they've treated customers. They're questionable in that respect. They've done a lot to change their reputation. They've become much more consumer friendly. Their plan's more competitive. They've added more value and things like that. So, Alexis says, how do we reduce physical and time limitations? Yeah, and Sebi brings up a good point. Lower pings, more balanced. I totally agree. I mean, that's the name of the game, right? Latency coming down, the capacity being there. Love it. You know, a lot of good commentary going on in the live chat. You know, and I'm very excited about that technology, honestly. And Austin throws a super chat in here saying rural America needs help. I'm on Viasat, 0.3 to 1 megabit per second. Horrible. And I think in your case, Austin, you know, new fixed wireless could help you as an option. But I also think that in the case of like Starlink, you know, that's going to be a viable option there for you as well. The homie Big Lou is in the house. Appreciate you, Big Lou. Thanks for stopping by. Actually, I'm pretty excited to actually get to this next topic. And I'm going to start first with the couple of things from AT&T. The first one, AT&T Communications CEO Jeff McElfresh. I hope I said that right. Don't mean to slaughter anybody's name. He says that 5G adoption may be muted by the recent pandemic with respect to job losses and higher costs of 5G plans. That might be an AT&T problem and not so much a market problem. Let me explain. AT&T is viewing the wireless market from their own perceived viewpoint, their own perspective, That's not the way Verizon sees it, and that's not the way T-Mobile sees it. They each see it a little bit differently. The culture at AT&T it's really old-fashioned. They don't have a John Legere. They don't have a Hans Vestberg. So how they see traditional wireless is different. Now, don't get me wrong, their network has improved tremendously. In many markets, it's phenomenal. But with respect to their marketing and with respect to their commentary from their CEO, John Stankey, who's the CEO of the entire company, which is huge, right? That's a huge company. And then let's also throw in, the CEO of their communications branch, which is Jeff McElfresh. I mean, could you be any more down on future technology that is supposed to revolutionize your business and breathe life and fresh air into the sales of a company that is dealing with debt overload? This just makes no sense. He was quoted as saying, "I've always tried to soften folks' expectations around 5G. Wrong thing to say, my friend. You want to hype 5G. You want to peg 5G as the next best thing since sliced bread. You don't want to poo-poo on that. You don't want to rain on that parade. That is not good business. You're trying to get people to get excited about your product. And you're going to come in talking, I'm trying to soften, the hype. I'm trying to, bring the hype down. That's foolish. You should be trying to convince people to use your service, to utilize it, make it a distinguishing characteristic. Our 5G is the best." He also defended the DirecTV acquisition because of the gains they made in fiber. Man, you are out of your mind, Jeff McElfresh. Your company, going back to Randall Stephenson, the former CEO, accrued so much debt because of acquisitions. Time Warner, $100 billion. DirecTV, $50 billion. And you have a debt load of about $150 to $160 billion, and you ain't chopping away at it. Man, could you be any more tone deaf? The climate in the room calls for something different, but you're being a Debbie Downer about your own company's technologies and financial position. I don't know who told him to say this. I don't know if he has any type of, counsel, or PR team or any consulting that comes his way. Big shout out to Magenta Speed Testing. Thank you for the super chat. I just don't get it. I really don't. He mentioned that the focus for AT&T moving forward is going to be wireless, fiber broadband, and next generation entertainment services. So in that order is how he listed them. I don't know if that's in order of importance, but those are the three things he mentioned. I'm all with that. Those three things sound fine. The wireless, go all the way. That is your best business. The fiber broadband is their most consumer satisfied product. And I think the next gen entertainment services, this all kind of depends. I want to give a special shout out to a fellow creator and friend of the show, Stetson Doggett. For those of you that don't know who Stetson is, he is a creator who makes phone service, wireless service content. He will save you money. Prepaid, MVNO, wireless services that you may not know about. He brings it to light. So big shout out to Stetson. Thank you for the donation. And, check out his channel, Stetson Doggett. He does a great diversity of coverage on providers and plans and how to save money. And, if you're on a budget or if you're looking to just spend less, right? You feel like maybe you're paying too much for your service. He can help you save money. And a friend of the show. Thank you, Stetson. And we actually did a podcast not too long ago, a couple of weeks ago. It was awesome having him on, and look forward to something in the future. McElfresh went on to discuss the Apple iPhone 12. Like I said, I think some of these people, they don't get what's going on around them. Apple's iPhone 12 should be a core focus for their wireless growth. Anybody who's switching or thinking about switching and is considering going to another company should be at least considering AT&T with respect to the wireless services. Phenomenal in some places. I mean, the market, like my market, for example, AT&T, you could argue, is the best provider here for wireless. The network is great. What they give you in terms of the feature set is very rich. You know, they've got HBO Max. They've got a very high data threshold for the soft cap DPRIO. Their speeds for their video resolution is great. They don't cap video resolution playback. So if I got 100 megabits per second on my downlink, I can use that 100 megabits for video res. Unlike all the other providers who seem to restrict it in most cases, unless you have some kind of like grandfathered plan or you're connecting to like millimeter wave or something like that. So thank you, Magenta Speed Testing. Appreciate the super chat. I found N41 in Shipshawana, Indiana, in Amishtown. No kidding. I'm gonna have to link up with you on Twitter on that. That sounds incredible. That is awesome. Yeah, I'm just gonna take care of something real quick. We're gonna get this guy out of here. Had to get rid of somebody here. I don't know what these people are thinking. Sometimes, you know, people just don't know when to stop. So, you know, with the focus for the iPhone 12 coming up, and you know, I think they need to, AT&T needs to focus on customer retention. I think they've already done a couple of nice things. You know, Rainier, we're definitely going to talk about that. Thanks for the super chat, the mix and match plans, and that's kind of part of this. So 5G expectations should be higher. They should not be set low. Why the lack of energy? I don't know why this CEO was talking in this tone, you know, followed up by saying AT&T is working on 6G. I just don't, so many mixed signals. I don't know. Maybe they need to reevaluate who's speaking on behalf of the company. Just my thoughts on that. So yeah, at AT&T, get your things together there. All right, a little bit more about AT&T. AT&T's got 5G tools coming to military bases. This one will be quick. U.S. Air Force, I believe there are 3 bases where they were going to receive networking as a service to these 3 bases. 24,000 personnel to gain access through AT&T, all active by the end of 2021. It's going to take care of the following locations. I hope I say this right. So we have Buckley, Colorado. So the Buckley base. Joint Base Elmendorf and Richardson in Alaska. And then Offutt, Nebraska. All right, and that is all by the end of 2021. This will take care of IoT, augmented and virtual reality services, robotics, drones, edge computing, and network edge storage. Also, legacy telephony will be provided and internet access. AT&T obviously has the FirstNet deal. They have a DOJ contract, and now this. I hear there's more coming. They obviously have a pre-existing relationship with the Nellis base as well. So they're just cooking in that realm. So very, very big news there. And today's news, and this is something that I think deserves, you know, some special attention. And, you know, I don't know if you guys watched the video. I dropped the video like maybe around 5 or something like that, 4:30, 5. I think it's a big time development, you know, to finally see that this change finally happened. It was just a matter of time. In my personal opinion, it took too long. AT&T should have had this feature on their plans long, long ago. I don't know what took them so long. I really don't. I think this just goes to prove that AT&T is old-fashioned, not hip with the times, and they don't pivot well. They're very stubborn on the business side. Some businesses are very fluid. Some businesses are dynamic. They're flexible. I don't think AT&T is one of them. I just don't. All right, that's just how I perceive them. That's how it looks to me on the outside. I've never worked for AT&T. I don't know, but that's the sense or the feeling I get. Verizon has become very flexible recently. T-Mobile's always been a pretty flexible carrier, especially under John Leisure. We'll see how the rest of this era with Mike Sievert plays out. We shall see. But yeah, let's talk about this AT&T news that came out today. This basically mix and match plans. So it should be awesome. And Rainier, thank you for your super chat and reminding me to cover this story. Yeah, so thanks very much. All right, so with this story, we'll just call it the AT&T Unlimited Your Way segment. So AT&T finally with a new plan structure, a la Verizon's mix and match. Unlimited starter, unlimited extra, and unlimited elite plans now get the ability to be mixed and matched with pricing remaining the same. So literally all AT&T did was add flexibility. Give consumers the ability to pick and choose what they want as their, lines on their plans, mix them up and make it more customizable. So the flexibility for the needs of each person, each line on the account could be something different. For example, T-Mobile doesn't really offer this. T-Mobile remains basically the only major of the three major carriers that does not have a true mix and match. They allow you to do Magenta or Magenta Plus on the same account. They do not allow you to have Essentials on that same account. So you can have like an Essentials account and then do a separate account for like Magenta lines, which kind of sucks. So there is some limitation there. So Your Way, so Unlimited Your Way by AT&T, is essentially a response to Verizon Wireless, in my opinion. Verizon has been offering it as a benefit to customers. This eliminates the need to have all the lines on the account to be the same type of wireless plan. So previous to this, if you were on AT&T, you had to have all elite lines if you wanted at least one line to be elite. Well, that gets very expensive. So if you have 4 or 5 lines and only one needs elite, then you have 3 or 4 lines that unnecessarily have the most expensive plan that they have. So it was really hurting their business because maybe that kept customers away from choosing them. Instead, people were going to Verizon or possibly even T-Mobile, right, due to pricing. The entry-level plan, if you were to get 4 or more lines with AT&T, comes in for the starter unlimited, $35 a month per line. And then the if you want something much higher in priority, something with like more premium access, more feature rich, higher end expectations and performance, you can go with the Unlimited Elite, which 5 or more lines comes in at $45 per month per line. And this comes with all types of goodies. This comes in with a really high data deprio threshold. HBO Max, I think, is included in this plan. There's really nice hotspot allowance. I'm not sure what it's up to these days, but the last time I had it, it was like, for business, it was like 100 gigs of hotspot data. Tremendous. I've never really experienced deprio on AT&T. The video resolution capabilities are phenomenal. Watching Quad HD and 4K content without buffer. AT&T giving me, if they're giving me 100 megabits per second. Walt, good to see you, man. Do I get the HBO Max for free? You do on the expensive plan. I'm not sure if it comes with the other ones. I've never been deprived by AT&T. I personally have not. Maybe it's because I'm in a more upgraded network. They've done a lot for the tower sites here for upgrades, but it's been amazing. I'll never, just because I know Verizon's such a trusted carrier and the network's so reliable, I don't feel compelled to leave and discontinue that service. But I think always having a Verizon line and always having an AT&T line makes perfect sense. Best combo in my opinion. Unless, one or both of those suck in your area, then you're going with T-Mobile, right? So, and then pricing's another thing. But I mean, they're more competitive now. Look at AT&T's pricing. If you want to go with the extra plan, something in between, you come in at $40 per line for 4+ lines on the extra plan. They've got advertisements on the website now, 25% off for nurses, physicians, and teachers. So they're showing appreciation for the workforce and essential workers. They're doing, the starter plan for those people that want, that are nurses, physicians, and teachers. It's like $27 a month per line. So discounts for military. They've got the first responders deals, FirstNet access. Really good things in wireless. As much as, there's a lot to be desired from the company's morals and ethics and business reputation. There's a lot, there, but plans-wise, excellent priority access. They're including 5G on all these plans. The 5G Plus, which is millimeter wave. The regular 5G, which is sub 6 gigahertz. 5GE, which is advanced LTE, but it really is a fast connection. Very good. There's international calling. They've got international texting. They've got, incredible amounts of hotspot data. The HBO Max included on those plans. Big time value, big time performance to value ratio. The access really is good. Not to turn this into an AT&T commercial, but I just think that AT&T doesn't market very well with their wireless. They just don't do the right thing to show people what they have. But, it's such a compelling option. If it's in your price range, if you find it affordable, you must consider it, right? And it's fantastic. Alexis, take care of yourself. Good to see you, and thank you for stopping by. You can always watch the rest of it on replay, so thank you. Walt says, will T-Mobile or Verizon respond? It's almost iPhone season. Walt, that is an excellent question, man. I think all companies, Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, should leverage the new iPhone for huge sales and promos this fall. How they do it could all be different. I think if Verizon could quickly figure out how to get their standalone 5G deployed on a massive scale, they're winning. And if that iPhone is able to connect to it, they're winning. An iPhone getting multi-gig speed in those, 40 markets, that would be great, right? Yeah, it is all about location, Joker. You ain't lying, man. AT&T has always been the iPhone network. It's always been the perception. They were the first company to distribute and sell the iPhone, going back to the Steve Jobs era. So they've, when people think carriers for iPhones, the AT&T kind of rings a bell. But T-Mobile would be wise to leverage it as well as they build out 2.5 gigahertz, right? 5G. Pair up that iPhone with those deployments. So I think the clock is ticking on all three carriers, with that. So yeah, big time news coming at AT&T. We'll see how that does for them with respect to their numbers moving forward as we kind of watch the quarterly earnings from AT&T. They're trying to shave debt. They're trying to reduce that debt load, and they're trying to gain market share. They lost their spot per se to T-Mobile. We'll see if that lasts. So we'll be watching that closely. So from some of the sources that I've been able to connect with and asking about the new iPhones and millimeter wave, it looks like one version of the iPhone will have it, and it's the larger Pro Max variant. So the iPhone 12 Pro Max, we'll assume that's what it's going to be called. I think that one's going to be millimeter wave compatible, and I think all carriers will sell it. All jokes aside, with T-Mobile's financing, that may be hard to do. You may have to cough up about $700 for it on the front end and still owe them $700 and finance that for about $30 a month. So we'll see what happens there. But I think all carriers will have it. It's going to be a premium. They're going to have to sell it for more. The bill of materials is higher with that millimeter wave access, those extra antennas. I think there was one more thing I wanted to cover. Yeah, let's do that. Last story for the podcast tonight. We have a story out of Dish real quick, and then I'll get to the celebratory piece of the Cbrs deal. Dish Wireless has a new executive vice president of Boost Mobile who is on a mission to shake up prepaid. Oh man, where have we heard this before? Shaking up prepaid. The new hire is Steven Stokels. No disrespect intended if I said it wrong. He's the founder of Freedom Pop. From what I understand, this person has a background, which some people say is not very flattering. I don't know anything about it. I'll have to look into it myself. I don't want to cast any aspersions or anything like that, but I mean, a lot of people left those comments in my video from this morning, so definitely something I'm going to look into. Anyways, he will head the sales, the marketing, the market strategy, and the operations of the Boost Mobile prepaid business. Quoted as saying, "There's really an opportunity to come in and be a disruptor," end quote. I think he was referencing the prepaid consolidation of the TracFone sale over to Verizon. Take a page out of the Freedom Pop playbook. Apparently, in his founding days, he was a disruptor in that way. Focus on digital distribution over traditional. And carriers traditionally are not very good at that, prepaid and digital. So I would say, put an emphasis on eSIM, put an emphasis on BYOD, put an emphasis on overnight shipping, online sales and distribution, an online presence, a nice website, easy to understand, effective online chat. Make it pleasurable, a pleasurable experience for customer care and service. Charlie Ergen, president of Dish, has hired a lot of experience now within the company to operate the prepaid as well as the postpaid business. Still, what we don't know is the actual network piece. We're still waiting on that, but the business side is starting to come together a little bit. So I'm excited about what comes to the table from Dish. But again, it's just kind of wait and see. So as the business comes together, I will be reporting more on that. Let's finish up with awesome news. This is what I wanted to celebrate. A Texas town is giving free Wi-Fi to students using Cbrs Spectrum. So I did the Cbrs Spectrum update earlier in the show, discussing the 6-mile range that testing was showing, 100 megabit per second. So it's got this incredible potential to help people. Here it is in Texas. General access unlicensed spectrum. So we're not talking about the PAL type where, carriers and providers have to purchase or get, these spectrum licenses. So this is first come, first serve. It's public. You can use it. What they're doing is this is going to be dedicated to kindergarten to 12th grade students for educational purposes in McAllen, Texas, a city that is on the border with Mexico. It includes 25% of residents below the poverty line. This is a community that has been hit very hard by the pandemic. They have a very high pandemic effect rate. I believe they said in the story that it's double that of the national average. So a community that's been hit very hard by the pandemic. Students received a device from the school district for their education, but they weren't able to provide them with internet access and connectivity. So basically you have a tool missing operative control, like you have no internet. So they gave them a Chromebook or an iPad or something, but they don't have an internet connection. So Frontera, sorry, typo. Frontera Consulting figured out how to set up a Wi-Fi network for these kids using a 60-day timeline. They created a network for them. Now think about this. In a place where only 37% of the residents can afford broadband home internet, they went ahead and they leveraged general access Cbrs Spectrum to create basically a public Wi-Fi connection for these kids. Now, not really public because, they're going to have to log in through some credentials for their school. But, I mean, why Cbrs? Like, well, what does all this prove? I think what happens here is because the Cbrs is general access, it provided the resources for them to be able to do it. Unlicensed is obviously available for anyone to use. You can use it for public. You can use it for private network usage. It can be secure, like in the case of for these students. Access points were placed all over the city. They were put all over utility poles. Apparently, they were only allowed to place them on wooden utility poles. So they were not allowed to put these access points on poles with pre-existing wireless infrastructure. So they had that, very specific restriction and guideline. They basically put an access point on every pole every 600 feet. And 15 people built this network for these students. Phenomenal. This is a tremendous accomplishment. This is a tremendous gesture. I want to give a special shout out to Frontera Consulting for making this happen, putting the plan together, executing the plan, getting the right people on the job to build out this network for these kids. A community that was devastated by the pandemic, a community who is devastated by poverty, and these kids can now, with the help of their school and Frontera Consulting and the hard work of the people that did the installations and the network configurations, hats off to you. Thank you for doing that. That is a tremendous accomplishment and an amazing gesture. In a time where everything is about bottom line and money, some people thought outside of themselves to do something better than to just focus on their own personal benefit. I'm sure everybody got paid, but that's not what this is about. You can get paid doing anything, but you did it with this gesture. So again, I wanted to celebrate that and kind of wrap up the show with that story. A tremendous gesture and accomplishment there. I really happy to report Frontera Consulting, great job for those people in McAllen, Texas. Very happy to report that. That wraps up the audio only version of the podcast. Thank you for listening. Now for the focus on the YouTube side. You know what, Stetson? I'm glad you enjoyed that, man. I thought about the timing. I thought, what better way? Let's close it out with something positive, Yeah, Jarko, and I agree. Yeah, big shout out to them and a big thanks to those people helping others. We need more of that. Our country is going through a huge political, we've got social things going on. We still need to do good things for one another. And I think that's an indication of that still being around. That's good to see. So many things are divisive. I don't think there's anything divisive about that. That's just a feel-good story, bro. The good things happening. Hopefully we see more and more of that stuff, more companies getting involved. Man. All right, y'all. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wrap up the show. So what I want to do is thank some people. First of all, I want to thank everyone who watched. Whether you were live, hashtag 2LiveCrew. Whether you were watching on replay, hashtag ReplayCrew. And if you were watching this while you were hungry, or maybe you're eating, hashtag Ravioli Gang. And if you held it down for me in the live chat, keeping things kosher, hashtag Mod Squad, Big Blue Wrenches. Appreciate you guys. I'd like to thank everybody who liked this video. If you haven't done so yet, please hit the like button. If you have shared it, I want to thank you also. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, however you shared it, thank you. And if you haven't shared it, please do so. That would be amazing. Appreciate it very much. And thank you to all who donated. In these times, donations are not required, but the community amazes me. And if anything, I think all it does is just confirm to me to continue to produce content. So I thank you all for supporting production here on the SMT YouTube channel and on the Patreon page for those that are patrons. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you are a lurker, and by that, just hanging out watching but have not pulled the trigger on subscribing, just go ahead and do it. Subscribe. Be a part of the community. Be one of the SMT Nation. Be a part of this amazing and wonderful, positive community. We'd love to have you. Also, activate the bell notification icon so you always get notified whenever we start a live stream or upload a new video. If you would like to take your SMT Nation access to the next level, consider joining the Patreon page. There's a link in the description box. Check us out. There's all types of tiers, easy ways to get involved. Take your SMT Nation involvement to the next level. And again, thank you all for watching. You guys are the best part of this community, the people, the voice of the people. Let your voice be heard. Comment down below anything that you wanted to mention about these topics from today's show. I really do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you for watching. We hope to see you soon on the next show. We'll probably do something Sunday. We'd love to see you there. Thank you again for watching. Everyone, have a great weekend. Stay safe. I wish you wealth. I wish you health. Take it easy, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace. Yeah.